When President-elect Donald Trump is sworn into office in January, he will have to deal with some very serious threats to our nation. Yesterday, a moment of silence was held to mark the one-year mark since the deadly terror attacks in Paris. And while the U.S. and our allies are making progress against ISIS, it will be the next president's job to finish the fight. General Jack Keane is a retired four-star general, chairman of the Institute for the Study of War, and a Fox News military analyst. We certainly empathized with what happened in Paris, and when that took place last year, the big question for all of us is that going to happen here? On the top of the list for the next president, how do you keep our country safe?
Well, two ways. One is having the best defense we possibly can have, and a border is part of that, and he's right to emphasize the security there, certainly. And also the intelligence and the law enforcement people that we have, as much connective tissue that we can have to communities where the terrorists mostly come out of is really important for us, and the people in those communities to be our eyes and ears, and having a great Federal Bureau of Investigation from an intelligence perspective. Good defense, and we've got a good defense. Could it be better? Always. But you also have to have a good offense. We've got to be over there chasing these guys down, and we don't have the kind of offense we should have. Radical Islam has morphed into a global jihad, Jenna. It's spreading around the world. We have no strategy to cope with the scale of that. It is the generational challenge that we have facing the American people.
President-elect Trump was asked a little bit about that last night. Here's what he had to say on 60 Minutes.
I'm not going to say anything. I don't want to tell them anything. I don't want to tell anybody anything.
Yeah, but what about the American people?
We have great generals. We have great generals.
You said you knew more than the generals about ISIS.
Well, I'll be honest with you, I probably do, because look at the job they've done.
You sort of laughed. Four-star general, everybody, that we're talking to. What's your reaction to that?
Well, listen, the generals under Barack Obama, our president, they made force-level recommendations in Iraq and Afghanistan. And I'm telling you, for a fact, he has never accepted a single one of those force-level recommendations. That's why we pulled out of Iraq in 2011, and that is why we have such serious problems in Afghanistan. And he has never permitted our generals to put together a campaign plan to defeat ISIS.
So you're saying what we're seeing is actually antithetical to what the generals are advising President Obama to do?
Oh, absolutely. We've hamstrung the use of U.S. military power to defeat ISIS, and as I said, we have no strategy or plan to deal with the much larger global jihad.
Do you think Donald Trump will have it?
I think he will, because he understands we got a problem. He knows it's not right. He may not know what it is we should do, and I don't think he needs to know that. Most presidents who come into office do not have a lot of foreign policy experience. I mean, a president we give a lot of credit to, Ronald Reagan, did not have much of that, but he surrounded himself by people who did. And it's his judgment that we're looking for, his ability to make tough decisions. And he has a background of being a leader. I'm talking about our president-elect now. He has a background in having convictions, and he has a background of certainly being decisive. They can serve him well, and he has to get people to help him make the decision.
It's good to have your perspective on that as somebody that's been inside the rooms when some big calls are being made. You know, the world continues to turn while we're all focused on the election, and there's been a lot happening in Afghanistan that we haven't been paying a lot of attention to. What is it? Why is it important? And why do you think that might be the biggest story of 2017?
Yeah, it's going to be a headline in 2017 because the security situation is worsening, and it's off the radar. The tension on the elections, to be certain, I can understand that. ISIS is another thing. But what is happening there is the Taliban have reemerged under new leadership. They have new commitment and resolve, and they also believe that the United States is no longer fully committed. As a result of that, Jenna, they are now in control of more territory than they have ever been since they ran the country in 2001. That is staggering, given the fact that we've been there for 15 years trying to help the Afghan National Security Forces. The Afghan National Security Forces, due to policy decisions made by our president, we were never able to give them the resources to assist them to the degree that we wanted. And we pulled our forces out much too early, our combat forces. We have 10,000 there, but it's not enough. The second thing is, and this is horrific, there are 2 Taliban sanctuaries in Pakistan. The Pakistan military protects those sanctuaries. Not only that, they give them information on our operations, and the Pakistanis are an ally. There has never been an insurgency that's been defeated who enjoyed a sanctuary that was outside of the combat area.
And what's the risk to us here at home because of that?
ISIS is growing in Afghanistan. The Taliban have no interest in being an out-of-region organization. But if you turn Afghanistan into a radical Islamic state, it will be a breeding ground for people who are going to not only conduct terrorist operations in the region, but will conduct them in Europe and also in the United States. We cannot let it happen.
Interesting. We're so focused on Syria becoming that Islamic State, but perhaps it's actually Afghanistan, and that's something we're going to be watching. General Keane, always great to have your expertise.
Yeah, good talking to you,
Thank you very much.